Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Your hosts, Joseph and Michelle Whalen, a husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics, are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom.
Welcome to Insights into Entertainment. This is episode 73. Crowning a new head of Lucasfilm? ? My questionable co-host, Michelle Whalen.
So bitter. So childish.
You messed with the script and you lost my descriptors there, so all I have are question marks.
Can't come up with something. That's
I'm
fine.
too childish for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can tell. It's going to be a good one then, huh?
Anyway, my questionable co-host, Michelle Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing today, sweetheart?
I'm tired. How are you?
I can tell you're tired, which is why I'm poking a stick in your cage.
Yeah. Well, it's, later in the afternoon than we sometimes do this, because we never do it at a set time.
No, we really should, probably.
We probably should, but that's
We
okay.
try to shoot for 11 o'clock on Saturday mornings, and usually we're pretty close to that.
Sometimes, yeah.
Today, we're much later today. So.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
It's a Saturday, so it doesn't really matter,
Absolutely.
Right?
It's not like we're going anyplace.
So, no, it's sadly we're not.
Someday.
So today on Disney Detective, we'll be talking about Downtown Disney reopening in California.
Correct.
Even though the park has been delayed in their opening. We had some funky stuff going on with
this
Carousel
is hysterical.
of Progress.
We can't wait to share it with you guys.
That one is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Then we're going to meet the creator of a viral TikTok who caught the attention of Disney's boss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. In our Star Wars Insights, we're going to talk the rumored Star Wars reset, which might include the departure of a very high-level member of Lucasfilm.
Yep. And
in our entertainment news, we will talk some Comic-Con at-home details that we have,
right.
Some dates and times and what's going on. Then we just found out that The Crown will be getting a 6th season, a show that you and I both enjoy. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that. And we will talk about PBS releasing their Broadway at Home schedule of great performances in the wake of Hamilton, which we'll talk more about later in our Insightful Picks.
Yes, we will.
So good show. You ready to get going?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, let's start. Go for Disney Detective.
So Downtown Disney in Anaheim, that would be Disneyland, reopened on Thursday, but fans still have to wait longer for the actual parks to open. There's still not been any dates yet as to when the openings will be. They were supposed to be opening around the 17th, but again, nothing has been agreed upon yet with the state of California. There were, some guests who had actually lined up as early as 5 a.m. for the outdoor shopping area to open at 10 a.m. Some people, they were just itching to buy merchandise. Others, it was just something to do, finally, after so long. There was one person who actually drove 90 minutes so her and her daughter could be there for the opening. She said, we've been bored at home. We can't wait to get out and about. That's why, we're excited to be here. Guests are told that they have to wear masks and have the temperature checks, just like Downtown Disney in Florida has been doing. The district shopping hours will be from 10 to 8, and some individual areas might have different times. So again, the dates for the theme park actually opening are still up in the air. Nothing's been planned yet, but obviously everybody is, itching for it to open. But unfortunately, California's had a spike, in their numbers. So that's why, a lot of things are on hold. And to mention, as we've been talking about, Walt Disney World in Orlando opened today for the public. They were doing cast member previews for 2 days. Then they had annual pass holder day for a couple of days. And then today was the first official day for Animal Kingdom and for Magic Kingdom, where the other two parks will be opening in a couple of days. And there were a couple of stories that came out with that where, for the most part, everybody's behaving, everybody's following their guidelines. They've, made some changes to like the queue areas for certain rides where, you kind of go up and down, up and down. Well, they've actually put plexiglass dividers. So when you're passing by the other people, you can contaminate those people, and they have markings. They actually even put up barriers on the monorail as well. So each compartment of the monorail has a barrier now as well. And obviously they're not putting as many people in certain rides. So wait times are kind of up right now because, they're taking the time to clean. But so far, all the reports that I've seen from today seem to be, positive, and everybody's, following the rules, and they have signs posted all over. And it's not a suggestion. This is the rule. If you want to be here, you have to follow the rule. So
Downtown Disney in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
That's a much smaller footprint than
Yes.
Disney Springs.
Yes, because we've only been there once. And if you recall, when we were staying at the Grand Californian Resort, basically we walked outside and it was like, oh,
Right.
Disney,
So
Downtown Disney.
That kind of brings me to my next question. When they went and redid Disney Springs in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
there's a much more controllable flow of traffic to
Right.
and from it.
Right.
How does that work at Downtown Disney?
Yeah,
Are they regulating it the same way?
I'm guessing they're probably doing the same thing. I'm sure from, because if you kind of remember, there was really like 2 ways to get in unless you came from the hotel. Like I'd have to look at a map to see, but I was pretty sure that if you were at the parking area on one side and parking area on the other, I don't think you could really get in and out any other way. And what they've probably done is blocked off, areas where if you could say park over here and walk to here, they probably have that blocked off so
Right.
that you have to go through a certain area, which, like you were saying, when they redid Downtown Disney in Orlando, there isn't a big giant parking lot.
Right. You've got
You kind
parking
of
garages
right,
that
and you
feed into it.
right, that have specific entrances, and I'm guessing that's probably they've done something like that to, hoard off people from being able to get in without being checked.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the new scanners that they were using.
Right.
They were testing in Disney Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Are they using these in California too? Or
I
no?
didn't see anything about them using them in California. There was one little mention about temperature checks this morning for the park, and it seemed like it was going very smoothly. So I don't know if they've, if it was actual, people doing,
Right.
because they were obviously doing touchless.
The touchless scanners.
So I don't know how, if they were incorporating. Nobody's really mentioned anything about those machines since they had them, obviously, down at Downtown Disney. So
Okay. Well, hopefully if this works out well and everyone stays
Mm-hmm.
safe and, this is our first step to some semblance of
right.
normalcy.
And that's the thing, is in Florida, their numbers have been spiking too. So it'll be interesting to see with this opening up, how do the numbers
Yeah.
look. So
Well, hopefully people will stay safe.
Hopefully, yeah.
Tell us about Carousel of Progress.
So Walt Disney World obviously just opened today, but they were having the previews, as we mentioned. So a video had surfaced the other day of the Carousel of Progress having some minor issues with one of the audio-animatronic characters of John, who's the patriarch of the ride. And he was kind of having a little seizure, I guess.
That's probably the best way to describe it.
So, so what was funny was there was one of the Disney Twitter pages, Magic Blitz podcast, actually had put the original video of it. Well, of course, people had to go and overdub with some music to kind of make it a little bit better. So we'll play one of those for you.
I don't know if the video's on this
It should be.
You gave me.
Yeah, go all the way down.
All the way down.
It was. Okay, it was on the page.
Well, this
Oh,
is the one we've
dude.
got. Where
Go
did it
back
go?
up. Technical difficulties. I guess we should have checked that beforehand.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you know what? There where the little things are.
So all right, so it stripped it out. So
Darn.
we don't have it. Okay, well.
Oh, maybe if you click on the one link where
What
it said
one link?
go down. Go down. Click on that one.
This one?
This one.
This
See
one?
if- No.
This one?
Yeah, see if that'll do it. Yeah. Oh, you need the volume.
Well, I have it muted.
Ah, darn. Well, anyway, that's the video.
Watch me engaging them, escaping them, and raising them out. I got the friends for more fun. I come back with more guns and ships, and so their balance shifts.
It gets better and better each time. So yeah, so that's the actual video. He was shaking, So this is obviously from Hamilton. So it was kind of funny because Hamilton obviously released, and then there was also one to Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Nice.
And it was basically like here was his audition tape to become part of Queen. So it was nice that people had fun with the technical difficulty.
Well, and audio animatronics themselves are problematic because of how they work. I remember the stories of when they were doing Lincoln,
right?
For the first time, they brought a delegation in to actually see,
right.
What was the attraction?
Oh, it was Moments with Lincoln.
Moments with Lincoln,
right?
And they were using red hydraulic fluid,
right.
And
they had
sprung a leak, and all of a sudden Lincoln starts bleeding on stage. So they successfully recreated the Lincoln assassination by accident.
Yeah. So so the big joke was obviously the audio animatronics haven't been used in a while. They were trying to loosen themselves up for everybody.
Well,
so.
And putting on a live show like we do, several times a week here.
Oh yeah,
I can totally sympathize with the technical difficulties and the embarrassing incidents that you can have.
Yeah, so at least like his head didn't pop off or anything.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
So
some fun little humor with that.
All right. So tell us about our viral TikTok.
So right before the long holiday weekend, a 20-year-old Georgia State University student, Julian Bass, shared a TikTok video on his Twitter account and asked people to retweet it, basically saying enough times that Disney calls. And his gamble actually paid off. A few days after sending out the video on social media, Disney and plenty of others came calling. So it's amazing what technology is out there, and the video editing and everything. So he did this little video transformation, and we can play it.
I'm okay to play this one?
Sure, you can play it.
All right,
Go
let's
ahead.
see what this one does.
Don't know if I could ever go without watermelon sugar high, 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 watermelon sugar.
That's pretty cool.
20-second video, pretty darn cool for, this 20-year-old kid, that did it. And he basically said that he learned FX and filmmaking on his own for the most part, and that, it was trial and error and learning, from experience. He said he hadn't taken any film classes or anything, and it basically just started out as an exercise for him to do. He said, I wanted to try something new. I always liked, Ben 10 aliens and doing CGI stuff and the lightsaber, and it just kind of went along with the song, and he just kind of made it. Well, other people noticed, so he ended up getting comments from Oscar winner Matthew Cherry, actor Josh Gad, movie studio Sony even made a comment, Ben 10 voice actor Tara Strong, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn, and actor Zach Braff, who actually urged Gunn, hey, you need to hire this guy. Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, even liked it. And Into the Spider-Verse director took notice of the video and the fan campaign to, get Disney to, hey, and even to bring the live action version of Miles Morales. They were like, hey, he would make a good one. And obviously it didn't stop there. He actually did end up hearing from Bob Iger himself, basically saying, the world's gonna know your name. So
nice. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. A nice little, again, little video he made, 20-second long. And
which, that 20 seconds probably took him 40 or 50 hours to put together.
I'm sure. But, pretty cool that, he said, hey, if Disney calls, and Disney called. So
nice. That is very cool. Mm-hmm. That's a great story.
Yeah.
So that was all we had for Disney Detective. We'll be back in a minute with our Star Wars Insights.
Okay.
Did I get it right that time?
I think so, yeah.
For over 7 years, the Second Sith Empire has been the premier community guild in the online game Star Wars: The Old Republic. With hundreds of friendly and helpful active members, a weekly schedule of nightly events, annual guild meet and greets, and an active community both on the web and on Discord. The Second Sith Empire is more than your typical gaming group. We're family. Join us on the Starforge server for nightly events such as operations, flashpoints, world boss hunts, Star Wars trivia, guild lottery, and much more. Visit us on the web today at www.thesecondsithempire.com. Go for Star Wars Insights. Damn, I did it again.
Oh, that was awesome. Should we try that again? You done?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
So this was a story. I just want to start off in saying this is total speculation. Not sure what's real, what's not, but we figure it's a good topic to talk about.
Yes, fortunately, we're not actual news, so we can put fake news
Right, we can
there.
put fake news and totally make it real. So Star Wars Reset includes Kathleen Kennedy stepping down, maybe? So it's claimed that Kathleen Kennedy may be stepping down from Lucasfilms to start her own female-centric production company, which follows the rumor that Disney is resetting Star Wars. Details about all of this are coming from a certain YouTuber, Lord Doomcock from the Dark Lord DVD. So he's the one that when we were talking the other week about the whole veil of the Force, and that was all him. So it seems he's kind of known for a lot of the rumor mill of Star Wars, and he seems to have different contacts with Lucasfilms. He was the one that basically revealed all of the spoilers of Rise of Skywalker that were actually correct. He even had information, I guess, that was going on with Brie Larson and the Captain Marvel sequel, which I guess, again, came out to be true. So it's one of those, do you believe everything he says? Or, it's kind of take it with a grain of salt type thing. But basically, he's gone on record saying that sources have filled him in on a secret plan that's in the works to save Star Wars that involves some sort of Star Wars civil war taking place at Lucasfilms between Kathleen Kennedy and those that are loyal to George Lucas and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. So, basically he was talking about what we were even talking about the other week about the whole Veil of the Force, which would basically kind of wipe out everything from the most recent trilogy and make it non-canon and basically wipe out, all that she's done, basically. He said that Kathleen Kennedy's reign of terror is almost at an end. I've been sitting on this information for weeks now, seeking further confirmation, but at this point, I've heard enough from various viewpoints to credit this rumor may have some validity to it. So again, like we were saying, is this true? Is it not? Has Star Wars really been all that bad since she's been at the helm? Probably not. While the movies weren't as successful as they wanted to be, or as fans wanted them to be, there's plenty of other things that have come out that have been very successful under her realm. And like you had mentioned, it's not like she wrote the movies. It wasn't her, hand in it.
That's kind of my take on it. Like, Kathleen Kennedy has been involved with Lucasfilm for a very long time. Mm-hmm. For people to think that she just came in to run it under the Disney umbrella that's totally fictitious.
Right.
She's been working with Lucas for decades now. Right. So she's well ingrained in Star Wars and the philosophies associated with it, the heritage associated with it. So she's not like some fresh-faced Disney executive who came in and ruined it for everybody.
Right.
So let's dispel that rumor right there. Second, she didn't ruin it. I mean, as much as I rail against a couple of the sequel trilogies, they were financially massive successes. Mm-hmm. So it's not a failure. Okay, right. First of all, there's mixed feelings for sure, but stepping outside of the realm of the sequel trilogies, you have other things that were incredibly well done, like Solo. All right, so maybe not Solo. How about Rogue One?
Rogue One
was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The Mandalorian. She resurrected the Clone Wars, which Disney had shut down when they acquired Lucas without consulting with anyone from the original Lucasfilm. So she saved that. Mm-hmm. We got Rebels. We got, a number of things under her watch have been very well handled. Mm-hmm. The one thing I think that concerned me more than anything about the article itself was the author, the rumor monger that we have, we'll call him, was spoke very derogatorily about her insistence on having more defined female presence in the company and on film.
Right.
And that to me was more disturbing than anything. That the author of this article was really that. It's almost like he took the feminism that she brought to Star Wars and is trying to use that against her.
Yeah.
When in reality, you and I spoke, Lucas was always one who cast very powerful female character roles. You look, not many, like you pointed out.
Right.
There
That's
weren't many.
the thing is there was basically one per movie.
But the
Roughly.
one that you had was the ultimate power in Leia. You know,
Yeah.
Leia was the boss of all of, the original trilogy. And she maintained that moving forward. So for Kathleen Kennedy to continue to want to have powerful female roles is not uncharacteristic. Maybe we had more than we would have had normally, but it wasn't like a complete shift in philosophy. And to latch onto that and to label this as a reign of terror, that's just being childish. Could the movies have been done better? Absolutely. Would I cry if they decided to phase out Last Jedi and pretend that it never happened? Absolutely not. Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker were just terrible, terrible movies. Force Awakens was a good start, and they never really went down that path. They kind of handcuffed J.J. Abrams by the time he got to Rise of Skywalker. But the blame for that lies entirely on the shoulders of Rian Johnson. That disaster of a movie that he put out with Last Jedi should have never left the cutting room floor. I mean, it really shouldn't. And to attribute that failure to Kathleen Kennedy's not the only person that signed off on that movie. I'll tell you that right now.
Right, exactly.
So every Disney executive needs to take the heat for that movie if you're gonna bring it down on Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not she is going to leave, a lot of the stuff they talk about in the article kind of makes sense with the timing and her contract.
Right, her contract is up in 2021.
Right, so moving Celebration and, the way that they're planning the next phase of the Star Wars and the timing of that. A lot of it makes sense. This could be just a matter of picking up a lot of different clues and trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Right.
And it's almost like Nostradamus. Okay?
Right.
So you're making these vague, predictions, and something similar to that is probably going to happen.
Right.
Kathleen Kennedy's not going to stay there all the, for her
forever.
entire life. Right.
Right.
So when she leaves, is this guy going to tout his horn and say, hey, I told you so?
I told you so. Right.
So we'll see what happens. I think the future that he portrays in this article is interesting. And I'd be curious to see where Star Wars goes from here out. But to label Star Wars as dead and a dying franchise,
right? And that was the thing.
Failure.
Even in his other article, it was, it's dying, and we're like, Mandalorian. Like, have you watched Disney Plus at all? Like,
all the other projects that are in the works with Obi-Wan and Cassian Andor and all the other stuff.
Right.
This is a passionate fan of the original trilogy.
Right. And
who doesn't like the fact that somebody came in and played in his sandbox and broke his toy.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that what he's saying is wrong or completely far-fetched.
Right.
But clearly he's biased in some of his views on this. So.
Right. And one of the other ones, which again was just kind of funny, was that an additional rumor was that Star Wars parks that have Galaxy's Edge, or Disney parks, obviously, would be remodeled to include actual Star Wars for the fans. And I'm thinking, but it does have Star Wars.
Right.
It just doesn't have the original characters.
Honestly, that's a problem that I have, is that I can't go to Galaxy's Edge and see Darth Vader walking.
Right.
And that bothers me.
Right.
Because you're not giving me Star Wars, you're giving me Disney's version of Star Wars.
Right. So that I could see, in a year or so, them maybe, revamping it to add.
Well, and the thing that, speaking of the parks specifically, the thing that's really funny is that before Galaxy's Edge opened, you had all those characters.
Right.
They'd walk around the park. They would do shows. They would do parades. They were there.
Right.
And then when Galaxy's Edge opened, that all went away.
Well, no. You still see Darth Vader. You just don't see him in Galaxy's Edge. You see him by Star Tours.
But they did away with all of
Right.
the parades and the
Right.
street shows and all that stuff is what I'm saying.
Right.
Where you had the one street show where you literally saw all the characters from all the genres
Right.
on stage at one time. And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Why would you do away with that?
Well, I guess we'll see.
Anyway, so we might be crowning a new president of Lucasfilm.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see, if in 2 years it happens and we're still doing this podcast, we can say, okay, he was right.
Yeah, I probably won't even give him that much credit, but okay. Anyway, that was all we had for Star Wars Insights or Insider or Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, whatever we're calling the segment
Whatever
these
we're calling
days.
it today.
Whatever comes to mind.
Right.
We're going to take a quick break and come back with our entertainment news.
Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Talking to real teens about real teen problems. Explore issues from braces to puberty, social anxiety to financial responsibility. Each week, we talk about the topics concerning today's youth. We look at how the issues affect teens, how to cope with these issues, and how parents, friends, and loved ones can help teens handle these challenges. Check out our video episodes on youtube.com/insightsintothings. Catch our audio versions on podcast.insightsintoteens.com or on the web at insightsintothings.com.
So let's talk about Comic-Con at Home 2020 and what we got to look forward to.
So obviously we had reported not that long ago that San Diego Comic-Con had been canceled, and then back in May they decided they were going to do an at-home edition. So we've only heard just one day of the schedule as of right now. So the idea is it's going to go Wednesday through Sunday, so it's going to start on July 22nd, and as of right now, they just have the one day. And it's, it basically starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Most panels are from 3 to 4, then they have some 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7. And it looks like from, Wednesday's schedule, it's a lot of educational things. So a lot of things geared towards kids, teaching and learning with comics, the power of teamwork, comics as a conduit, license to thrill, graphic novel adaptations for kids. So, this day, like I said, looks very much kid-centric and everything. So they have different authors, different professors, because there's some about college and the nerd mind, was another one. So, this will definitely be interesting to see how it works out. Everything is free. There's YouTube links that are posted. If you go to Comic-Con International, they have a YouTube page, so all their links, will be there. I'm guessing probably as, it gets closer, more things will pop up. The one thing that I thought was interesting is there was a separate story that talked about how for, Marvel Studios will actually not be attending the virtual version of San Diego Comic-Con. And according to Deadline, Marvel Studios will be sitting this one out, as well as DC Films. But DC is actually doing a fan event in August, and that's where they'll talk about all of their stuff. So not really sure why Marvel stepped down. There was no reason giving, but this wasn't the first time that they've skipped out. They skipped out in 2015 and 2018. And basically, when they decided, and this is the first time in 51 years that San Diego Comic-Con hasn't been going on. Again, there was no word why Marvel, decided to back out. Maybe they just, felt it wasn't their thing. But Comic-Con basically, when they announced that they were doing this at-home edition, they were like, hey, personalized snacks, free parking, and no lines, as well as access to anyone with internet. So, kind of sad that we're not going to see anything from Marvel. It'll be interesting to see who else.
And I think this is a brilliant move on the part of Comic-Con. Because
absolutely.
What this does is it gives people who would never have an opportunity to attend one, or even consider attending one, the chance to actually get their feet wet, see what goes on, see what some of the benefit is, get some idea of what the reason is that people go to this.
Right.
So that in subsequent years, when we are back on schedule and having these, people are more inclined to want to go to this again because they see what the benefit is.
And that's why I think it's great. It's almost a shame that they're only doing it over one weekend, because literally almost every day Wizard World, which is another big convention, and that's one that we normally go to every couple of years, that's in Philadelphia, they're doing almost daily different 1 hour things, and every topic manageable, not just imaginable, not just television, not just movies. They even did sports, and they've had either, a full cast from a television show or a movie, or they've done one-on-ones, and they're all free. You can, again, go to their YouTube page and find everything. So if you weren't able to watch it live, you can go back and watch the recording of it. And if it happens to be a celebrity that you want, a little one-on-one time with, or an autographed picture of them, you could purchase,
You could pay through the nose and get that experience.
You could, where, if you're the type of person that are like, yeah, I like that show, I wouldn't mind, watching it, know.
It's great advertising,
Absolutely.
You're keeping the spirit of it going.
And I could definitely see, like you were saying, once conventions start back up again, people who may never have gone to one be like, oh, let me check it out.
You and I, I hadn't gone to conventions until you and I got together.
Yep. I brought you to the dark side.
And since I went to the first one, I can't get enough of it.
Right.
And it's like, we don't go and we sit through all these panels and all this stuff, and we don't pay for autographs or any of that stuff. It's just the ambiance. It's that energy that you get from being with like-minded people.
Exactly. That's what it is. It's being with those other geeks.
Yeah. I don't hide the fact that I'm a sci-fi fan and a Star Wars fan.
Right.
I decorate my office at work with it. There's a couple of people who sympathize with me, but most people think I'm an idiot. And that's fine. I don't care what they think.
Right.
But it's nice being with thousands of other people who like the same stuff you do and feel the same way and have the same passion. There's a I don't want to get crazy here, but it's almost like a religious experience where that energy is there.
The religion of Comic-Con.
It is.
It's the church of Comic-Con.
Until you experience, and you can't experience it with the online versions either, but this kind of dips your toe in the water there to get that feeling.
Right.
But if they can get you interested enough through this to show up once, you're hooked at that point in time.
Right.
Because that's what people like us do.
Unless you go to New York Comic-Con on a Sunday where it's packed.
I still want to go back.
Right.
We just need to do it better. I mean, a lot of that was the experience. We had some hotel issues. It was overcrowded. It was hot. And
no air conditioning. And
so I still want to go back, and I wouldn't go back on a Sunday.
Right. Maybe do a Friday or earlier in the week or something.
Yeah.
But I get it.
It's, I miss going to the convention.
Yeah, so this kind of, for people that haven't been able to go, it gives you something to do.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about The Crown.
So as you mentioned, one of our favorite shows, The Crown, is actually going to be getting a sixth season. Originally, they had reported. It was funny because when they first did it, it was going to be 6 seasons. Then when they started writing everything, it was like, nope, we're going to stop at 5. And now they said, no, we are going to do 6. So basically what, the creator said was, as we started discussing the storylines for season 5, it soon became clear that in order to do justice to the richness and complexity of the story, we should go back to the original plan and do 6 seasons. To be clear, series 6 will not bring us any closer to present day, but it will simply enable us to cover the same period in greater detail. So I thought that was great news. The show did wrap up season 4, which stars Olivia Colman, who plays Queen Elizabeth, in mid-March. So they actually had finished season 4 filming right before everything shut down. So fortunately, there's going to be no delay with season 4 coming out. It's just obviously season 5. They're not sure when they're going to start filming that one. So at least we get 2 more seasons.
Yeah, that's cool. And I like the show because it's historically accurate.
Mm-hmm.
The acting's well done.
Mm-hmm.
The set piece creation's incredible.
It's beautiful.
It's just a very well done show, and they've done a very good job of staying faithful to the actual stories.
Yeah.
And the talent that they brought in to play these roles are just spot on.
Yeah, so it'll be, interesting to see the new cast, the new queen, and because usually they only change, some of the characters, and to see, Charles grow up, and, because you saw him in Camilla at the end of this season, so it'll be interesting to see the dynamics of everything and how Queen Elizabeth, dealt with all of it. So
cool. Good news. So tell us about the great performance.
So PBS released a Broadway at Home schedule on great performances. So obviously there's a lot of buzz going around with Hamilton, which no shocker there. So now they're kind of saying, hey, well, we have some more Broadway things for you to watch. And again, this goes back to, Comic-Con at home and, watching movies at home. And here's, performances, stage shows that they're doing. So starting the Friday, it's going to be every Friday, starting on July 24th, usually at 9 p.m. There's a full listing of She Loves Me, Present Laughter, In the Heights, Chasing Rainbow Dreams, which was Lin-Manuel Miranda's first Broadway show, then Much Ado About Nothing, and then finally Rodgers and Hammerstein's The King and I. So, interesting list of different plays. So, again, free, available on their website, on PBS channels, so if you enjoyed Hamilton and you're itching for more Broadway, PBS has you covered.
Very cool. Very cool. It's nice to see them bring that because, we watched Hamilton. And for me, I've never seen a Broadway play. And watching Hamilton, how well it was produced, I'm not sure I want to go see it on Broadway and sit in the audience. I'd much rather see it from all the different camera angles. But this brings it in. Again, it's like with the comic book conventions. If you've never seen a Broadway play, this is your first step into it to get you interested. Absolutely. So brilliant marketing for those guys. So that was all we had for entertainment news. We'll be right back with our insightful picks of the week. Go for your insightful pick.
So my insightful pick, which I had to make sure I got before you did, because you tend to do that from time to time, was Hamilton. Hamilton is the American musical film comprised of live recordings of the 2015 Broadway musical, which was inspired by a 2004 biography about Alexander Hamilton. It was written and composed by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Whew! He obviously stars as the founding father, Alexander Hamilton, along with the original Broadway cast. This was actually planned to come out in the theaters in October of 2021, but with the response to the COVID pandemic, it was moved up and released digitally worldwide on Disney Plus starting on July 3rd. And it was something where I knew we were never going to see it on Broadway because, one, it's just, hard to get tickets and they were very expensive. I knew some of the music. I didn't know a lot of the music. I wasn't a huge, Hamilton, fan when it first, came out. I had many friends who, had gotten the soundtrack and, listened to it and loved it. And, again, I heard a couple of songs here and there, enjoyed it. And so I was looking forward to going and seeing it in the movies. And obviously when we found out it was coming out on Disney Plus, even more excited to watch it. And I basically, said, we're all watching it together.
Yes,
it was mandated because I knew you guys were probably going to like it. So of course, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I hope he really likes it. And when you started laughing and cheering and our daughter, was getting into it, that's when I knew, okay, this was done. So it's divided into 2 acts. The musical depicts the life and career of Alexander Hamilton, who was an orphaned immigrant from the Caribbean isle. And the first act basically covers his arrival to New York City in 1776, his work alongside George Washington during the American Revolution, and how he met his wife, Eliza. And then the second act basically covers his post-war work as the first Secretary of the Treasury and his affair with Maria Reynolds, the death of his son Philip, and then finally his own death in a duel with Aaron Burr. So it's very well done. As, you had mentioned, there's a lot of historically correct parts to it. Yeah. And it was interesting because this morning, and that's the thing, because I actually was watching another little mini documentary, that pops up on Disney Plus, an interview, and he basically says, listen, I know I didn't put everything in, Eliza's sister, she was already married when they first met. So he took the liberty of making her not married so that little love triangle could kind of be in there. They had more children than what they talk about. So there's so much more that he just couldn't put into it. But his hope was that he could get you interested.
And that's exactly it. It was enough to get you interested.
It was enough to get you in so that you can now go online. And that's what happened, because I did go on and look up different things. And it's interesting to hear, so if you watch the show and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And now there's all this stuff that you can find and see the cast talking about it and saying how, like, oh, I didn't, and for them, they never really watched it either. So for them to go back and watch and go, wow, I didn't know that I did that on stage like that. And I didn't know.
That camera angle makes my butt look big.
Well, no, it was like, oh, I thought I did this, but I didn't know I did this. And all these just little interesting stories, from the cast and everything. And it makes me want to go back and watch it again. And one of the other things, too, is you kind of realize it when you watch it, but they talk about one of the main characters, the Bullet. And they do this whole thing where there's this one character where when a gun goes off, she's kind of there and she goes like this. She's like the physical bullet. And there are, anytime she is out there, she's almost like the angel of death. Like she meets up with this one character and she kind of flirts with him. And the idea is that that character was flirting with death. And, you know, every time that there's somebody that loses their life, she's there. And it's one of those things where
you don't realize it.
You don't realize it. And then you read this article and you're like, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we even talked about, you know, the one scene with their wedding. Nobody changes costume. Everybody's in the same costume. They change the lighting to make it look like her dress is white.
Yeah,
you know, they basically add a veil.
job.
So it's just amazing how well done it was done. It was filmed over 3 days, 2 to 3 days. Some were in front of a live audience. Some of the closer angled shots were done without the audience because obviously the camera would have been, you know, in front of them. But just, you know,
the production value was just fantastic.
It was amazing. And what was funny was Jonathan Groff, who plays King George.
So good.
He was the original King George. He had left while the rest of the cast was still going on because when it was filmed, all of the lead principals were still playing. They were getting ready to start backing out. You know, they had like 2 weeks left. Jonathan had already left, but the person that was playing him said, you know what? You're the original King George. You need to come back. So he actually came back just to film.
You know, it's funny. I was listening to another podcast that I listen to frequently, and they were talking about the host of the podcast took his wife and son to see it, and they were sitting very close to the stage. And apparently, when you see Jonathan Groff spitting as the irate king, he does that every night, to the point that people were getting spit on in the audience.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely one of the different stories is, you know, you have to watch it just for the 9 minutes that he's on stage total and how much he spits,
yeah,
you know. Because
he goes on in an interview to explain that he's playing the king as this semi-insane character, and he pulls it off so well.
And the other thing too is, you know, again, we could probably talk just an hour on Hamilton, but that like each character has their own specific style of music that they sing to, you know, so it's not all rap, it's not all hip hop. You know, it's a blend of everything.
Hands down, my favorite number from the whole thing was the COVID-9 approved, the Zoom where it happened. I mean, the room where it happened. Sorry.
The Zoom where
I love that tune. You can't get it out of your head.
Yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of the songs you just start like, you know, with it. And you know, again, going back to the King of England, that his was kind of like a British pop sound, and it was a love letter, you know, like you'll miss me when you're gone type thing, and it's just good pick. Definitely watch it if you're not sure about it. If you know Broadway isn't your thing, at least you can do it from the comfort of your home. You can pause it.
Can I do my pick now, or should I just skip it at this point in time? We just keep talking about Hamilton.
Okay, I can stop now. I'm done. Go watch Hamilton.
Good pick. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So my pick that will be completely overshadowed by Hamilton, obviously.
You liked it too.
is a documentary on the Science Channel, Snore, I know, called Sea Monsters.
Sigmund?
No,
not Sigmund the Sea Monster.
No, Sea Monsters on Science Channel. Every mystery and danger of the sea is a technological challenge waiting to be overcome. From mega holiday cruises to harvesting power, this exploration of the sea unlocks the ultimate challenges of extreme maritime environments. Sea Monsters dives deep to unlock the ultimate challenges of extreme maritime environments. It has nothing to do with monsters.
Man.
The Kraken does not show up at any point in time in this show.
I don't want to watch it.
It is a show about how mankind has developed technological ways of overcoming a lot of challenges from the sea. There are currently 2 seasons. Season 2 is underway, being aired on the Science Channel, and season 1 is available on Amazon Prime Video. A couple of the episodes include U.S. Coast Guard super ships, the world's greatest submarines, and the ocean's most powerful cargo ships. So it's very interesting if you're into the sea and ships and stuff like that. It's all kinds of walks of life of different types of ships that they have, but happened to be a show that I picked up a couple of weeks ago, and I've been watching it, so I've kind of liked it. It's not Hamilton, but it is worth watching.
All right, that's fine. Everybody has their own thing.
Sea Monsters on the Science Channel, and we'll be right back. So I think that was all we had today, correct?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I would invite everyone to check out our long-form articles published on Medium at medium.com/insightsintothings. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe to us. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and just about anywhere else. We would love to hear feedback from you. We try to incorporate feedback into the show whenever possible. You can hit us on email at comments@insightsintothings.com.
On Twitter at insights_things.
We also stream 6 days a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/insightsintothings.
You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/insightsintothings.
You can get all of our links at our website at www.insightsintothings.com.
Or all of our audio podcasts at podcast.insightsintoentertainment.com.
Or on the Evil Empire, you can get us at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast. And I think that's it for this week.
That's it.
Another one in the book.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.